I think this is something that the scene has been pining for quite a long time. I mean, if not years. So it's
Yeah.
going to be really cool. We've got a bunch of teams that have kind of formed and come together and drafted some players just for this event. And it's going to be really sick to see. And I actually think that we've got one of the best lineups coming forward just for tonight.
Yeah, I think this is a really cool match to kick off the tournament with. I mean, we've got Legacy versus SYF. Legacy, maybe a newer team in the scheme of things. They didn't have a fully fleshed out SC2 roster before, so they picked up a bunch of players. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this lineup can do. SYF has been around for a little while now, and their roster's looking pretty solid. I think looking at the poll games to put out a little earlier in the day, a lot of people are actually banking on SYF winning this one. So we'll have to see what comes out on top.
I can see how people would think that SYF are going to be winning. I mean, I kind of see two possibilities for how tonight goes. It's either SYF is going to 3-0, and honestly, there's like a pretty decent chance of that if MightyKiwi wins the first game. But if Probe wins the first game, I feel like we're going to an ace match.
Yeah.
So that's going to be real interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so pretty good prize money on the line here as well, guys. 3,500 USD prize pool in total. So all the teams going to be looking to do their absolute best in this round robin phase of the tournament. And we will, of course, have the finals, which will be super awesome. So as you can see on the right-hand side there, we're kicking off on Blackpink tonight for Pro vs MightyKiwi. Pretty sick match to kick things off. A top 3 WCS player versus a WCS champion. Not bloody bad.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And we've got new balance as well. So the new patch just came out. And that's going to shake up things quite a bit. I'm not quite sure how it affects this matchup, Protoss versus Zerg, but the removal of the Mothership Core is such a huge change. We'll have to see how both players are adapting to it. I think it's a little maybe tougher for a Protoss player to adapt to such a huge change when the core of Zerg is still really intact.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely will. So let's check in with the players, see if they're ready, because we can get started here on Blackpink for the first match of the night. I'm pretty hyped, man. I'm pretty keen to see what these guys have got. As you mentioned, it's a new patch. Things are still sort of being figured out. There's a lot of rage on Twitter and the Reddit. So...
Tell me about it. I'm a Terran player. I'm not too happy about it.
All in good time, my friend. It seems like there's another patch just around the corner.
Oh, there is. Give it another week, and the balance will change again as the tournament progresses. So let's kick things off. The countdown is underway. We're going to jump straight into game number 1. And remember, this is the first match, the first map of the new Pro League, the ANZ Pro League, brought to you by Blizzard and GameStar. It's going to be a pleasure bringing this to you guys. And if there's any issues with production or anything like that, just let us know in chat. We'll get that fixed up right away.
Yeah, absolutely. They are loaded in, ladies and gents. And I am very hyped to present to you in the top right, representing Legacy. This is Probe.
Man, that Legacy logo really pops out. It looks great.
It does.
And down here in the bottom left, playing for Team TTSYF Gaming, it's MightyKiwi.
Becoming one of the better Zergs in our region, MightyKiwi. In fact, he's always been very good, but his last performance in WCS was quite stellar, so really looking forward to how he goes on this new patch with all the changes coming in.
Yeah, I think that the way that the two teams drafted this was really interesting because they both kind of picked their best player, arguably, to go first. I think that MightyKiwi is better than See-Through anyway. But that'll remain to be seen. And then they picked their kind of second best player to go last. Which is kind of a gamble, right? Because if you pick your second best player to go last, and then you just get 3-0. You're going to look pretty silly.
Yeah, that's true. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? Trying to figure out which players you send out on which map. We do pick 5 maps at the beginning of the week and let the players know which is going to be the map order, and then they figure out what their lineup's going to be. So
Yeah, just
interesting.
let them agonize over it.
Yeah, stew a little bit and see who they're going to end up pitting each other against. But yeah, we'll see if it works out for these guys. I mean, Probe definitely a strong starter, as is MightyKiwi, so I'm hoping we do get a long game out of these guys. As it is a 5-match series, we're looking for the first team to reach 3 wins.
Speaking of, I mean, I kind of told you my predictions. There's 2 possible outcomes. I feel like we're going to go to an ace match tonight, but what do you think?
Ooh. You know, I think we very well could go to an ace match, but I gotta say, head says SYF, heart says legacy for me. So I actually don't know if we'll make it to that 5-game series. I hope we do. I hope legacy proved me wrong.
Oh, this is interesting already. Probe with a sneaky Stargate down at the south side of the map here. And that's likely to be for either Void Rays or Oracles. We'll have to see which choice he makes. And behind it, he's just been expanding. He's got an Adept out as well, so he's going to be able to poke in. Just get a sense for what MightyKiwi is doing here. He doesn't want to lose that Adept, and he's going to get out without taking any damage. Nice move so far.
Yes, indeed. These Adepts always so pesky to deal with. Oh, okay, he's actually able to get things out of his way with just the slow links for the moment, and speed does kick in there. And it is, in fact, going to be the Oracle wandering over here. A lot of people being a little bit rustled about how quickly Oracles can actually reach bases at the moment, but this is no problem for MightyKiwi. He's already got 4s ready to rock and roll. He's got a 3rd base on the way, and he has Queens out, so he really shouldn't take too much damage from this Oracle.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I suppose this is just a great way for Pro to scout. But seeing the direction that the Oracle has flown into his base, MightyKiwi immediately sees the Stargate. Will he be able to depower it before the next Oracle comes out? I think it's going to be close, man. I'm not sure if it's going to get out or not. Oh, it's going to get out.
The Oracle doesn't really have any more energy, but with the second one coming in, might just miss out. He should be able to prevent any more from coming out there, and he will pick up that pylon and possibly come back for the Stargate. But yeah, 2 Oracles do pop out. Gives him a map control, a bit of vision. But other than that, not able to get too much done with those just yet. There are a small group of Lings down by the 3rd as well. Maybe a tasty snack for later.
Yeah, maybe. I'm loving the Sim City that we see here from Probe. I mean, it was scary enough having Sim City with a mothership core that you can use to pylon overcharge. But now that the shield battery's out, it's like, wow, you're never ever gonna get through that.
Yeah. Shield battery, at least in my experience so far, has made it quite hard to be as successful with run-bys and little backstabs. It's definitely a valuable tool, which is quite necessary considering the mothership core is gone skis.
Yeah, it's really good against Zerglings, especially. And Probe wants to go out and take his 3rd base now. The Zerglings are here. They could possibly force a cancel here, but it would just be a temporary delay. But it looks like he's going to go for the sentries, but a nice force field comes out and forces MightyKiwi to run home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Probe very carefully taking that 3rd base. We'll be able to defend it with what he has for the moment, but MightyKiwi has other ideas in mind. He has made more Lings, and there's still some left in that production tab coming through as he drops the hydrogen behind this as well. To do this, he really hasn't droned up his 3rd base, so he's really going to be hoping to get some nice value out of his Lings. Already
he manages to slip in. It's kind of cool though. He's got the shield battery there in the main, so the funny thing is the Lings wouldn't really do anything to it, but a big engagement at the desired 3rd base. But look at the Warp Prism. This is a really nice spot. He kind of just force fields all his sentries into one little clump. He's got the Oracles there that are going to clean up the Zerglings. Now maybe he'll finally be able to get that 3rd base down.
Those force fields are actually so good. I can't believe he held that as nicely as he did, and these Lings really have to run away with their tails between their legs because he held that. And even the Lings in the main weren't really able to get too much done for the moment. Warp Prism's still out here, gonna warp in a few more units to try and
gross.
Probe, you show off. Very good micro.
I suppose at the end of the day, MightyKiwi's just done a great job of keeping Probe back on Probe's side of the map for a while. And now that Probe's finally able to move out of the map, MightyKiwi's got those Hydras coming out. Hydra's doing incredibly well against sentries, unless the force fields are on point.
Yeah, don't do too badly against gateway units in general if they get a nice position. Nice force fields from Probe so far, sort of backing these units into the corner while he starts to tickle that hatchery, trying to find a nice spot to take an engagement. 2 more force fields come down. The Lings are actually trying to surround the main bulk of that army. The Oracle's engaging the Hydras, but he is chipping away at his Zerg force so well with what he has.
Yeah, this is insane. Probe's use of that Warp Prism in this game has been unreal. Like, just using it basically as a free blink for all of his units. His micro is just on point, man.
That's it. I think the word you might be looking for there is gross. Because he's done a really superb job. But MightyKiwi does manage to push it back. He saves his third base as well. Has lost 13 workers in the process, which is definitely not ideal going up against a Protoss who is now 3 bases himself and has far better saturation, sitting at 61%.
Yeah, Probe's economy is going to be such a huge story in this game as we progress into the mid-game now. So Probe's going to be able to add on his tech of choice. We could definitely see him go for maybe Colossus, or he might go up to Archons and High Templars. And especially being on that 3 base with the extra gas economy, he's going to be really well positioned.
Yes, indeed. And he's going to be batting away these Hydras here once again. The creep spread from MightyKiwi is actually not looking too bad, so that's going to help out. Some Banelings starting to come into the mix as well. And when you've got a lot of sentries and adepts in the mix, got to be a little bit more careful because the force will buy you some time there. He is starting to squeeze out a couple of drones here and there. I sort of wonder if he's just going to go for it, because he really isn't. Okay, now he's starting to pump out more drones. I was going to say he's not really committing to that whole droning idea just yet, but looks like he's definitely going to start saturating that now.
I think that was actually a testament to how well Probe just played that last move that he did, because he pushed out with his units, so he was kind of saying, look at me, I've got this army, and he's threatening to be aggressive with it. But he didn't really have any intention of pushing forward past the halfway point on the map. He's just basically saying, look, I've done damage, you need to make units now, and you can't make drones. And little moves like that can make a huge difference in the long run. We do have a Warp Prism down here at the south side. It's going to go to town and clean up possibly a couple more of those drones, but it does get deflected for the time being.
Gotta watch out for that. Probe is absolutely deadly with those Warp Prisms, especially when paired with the main push, maybe at your third base. And it's a deceptively long way between that third base and your main as well. So that's something that MightyKiwi is going to have to keep in the back of his mind as he moves out on the map here. Probe has amassed quite the force. Link is about to finish up with the +1 attack. He's got a 4th base on the way, and the Colossus Den in production as well, or Disruptor Den as we might call it.
I'd be surprised to see Disruptors in this position. I feel like Colossus would make a lot more sense. They do have a buff now against light units as well in the new patch, so especially combined with that +1 upgrade that's finishing, like we said, Seth, they're going to be pretty powerful if that's the tech route that he chooses. MightyKiwi is going to be really, really careful now, though. As Blink finishes up, Probe is going to be able to chomp maybe half the army at a time, but really nice move here from MightyKiwi, splitting his forces up, and he'll definitely be able to get a kill on that 4th base if he commits.
Oh, looks like he's going to commit to the army instead. The Lings do start to slip through, and a bunch of Banelings get through as well. Splashing on Stalkers, not
the sentries!
Much. Oh, it looks like he will be able to clean up those sentries, but there is still so many Stalkers left, and MightyKiwi's running out of fuel.
Yeah, he is out of gas. He's 50 supply down. Probe has just crushed that. The power of the new Blink Stalkers with the upgrade and Blink is just insane. And
man.
MightyKiwi goes home with his tail between his legs. He doesn't have a fourth base up, so I mean he's on equal economy or probably a little bit behind compared to his Protoss counterpart. And that's just not where you want to be. He'd need infestors or something right now, but I think we're just going to see a slow decline.
Quite possibly. The supply tells a big story here, as MightyKiwi still only sitting on about 50 drones. He's just mopped in a ton of banelings though. And I think they will definitely do some good work if they can get the connections they're looking for. There's no sentries left here, so it's really going to be about splitting that army up and using the blinks. And as I say that, he does warp in a bunch more sentries to help out with this push. It's a bit of an awkward spot for MightyKiwi actually, because it's sort of hard to get the surface area you want against a Protoss army like this.
Oh no, the force fields are going to go down. There they are. The Colossus in the back just won, but it's going to be so scary to deal with. Even if the banelings find decent connections, it's going to be on Stalkers, or I suppose you'll blink back and lose a life, but still, it doesn't really matter from Probe's perspective. He got the fourth base, and now he's got his own fourth saturated, so yeah, he took a really inefficient fight, but he's just dominating this game right now.
Yeah. MightyKiwi holding on like a champion here, still getting a couple of drones on that fourth base as he rebuilds it. So he's still not in an ideal position in terms of economy. Probe is still looking really strong. He's probably feeling pretty comfortable right now as he rounds out that composition with a couple of more Colossi, extended Thermalance coming in as well. Can MightyKiwi get some stuff done with these links? He's looking for those backstabs.
Oh, the infinite repair from the sure battery. That's pretty sickening. But a decent run by there into the third. Catch a couple of probes, nothing too impactful, but really keeping Probe just pinned back in his base a little bit, giving MightyKiwi the time that he needs to get that fourth base up and running again.
Yeah, and he definitely needs that room to breathe here a little bit. Even the crease spread's sort of been limited by the attack path that Probe carved out for himself a little bit earlier on. And the tech for MightyKiwi really hasn't had a chance to go past this Lingbane Hydra composition, which, don't get me wrong, is still ridiculously strong, and one false move by Probe and he will lose a lot to it. But I think as more Colossi come into the mix, it's going to be more difficult to make that work for him.
Yeah, he's going to need to find maybe some guerrilla tactics. MightyKiwi just needs to do some damage. I'd love to see maybe Baneling drops in those mineral lines if he gets Overlord speed. I'm not 100% sure if he's got it already, but something like that, just to do some damage. He's never going to be able to get through the natural, not with his sure battery in the depths there, unless he maybe gets some Banelings in. But it just seems like Probe has his foot on MightyKiwi's neck, and he's just suffocating him.
Yeah, he's playing it cool right now. He's got the entire right-hand side of the map, and he's just massing up. He's just about to be maxed. Luckily for MightyKiwi, he's actually going to be able to get 5 Infestors out by the time Probe gets to his front door if he is to push right now. But the economy is going to be the real hard thing to contend with, because he can replenish this pretty easily. He's got a very solid comp here. So I guess it all comes down to the engagement. Can MightyKiwi hold on once again, especially with the Warp Prism floating about up here in the north? Adepts waiting to slither into this third base any chance they get as well.
Yeah, and Probe didn't quite time that attack super well. So ideally this attack would have been happening at the same time, but here we go, a couple of force fields and a recall coming down. He's a cheeky boy.
I always forget how long that recall actually takes now. But he does get out of there without really losing anything. Takes a few shots off on that fourth base, does roast a bit of the front line of the Zerg. He's up to almost 30 workers killed, Probe is. MightyKiwi himself only having gotten about 12. He's still sitting around 58 drones.
I could only imagine how that recall would feel if like 1,000 Banelings are raining down on your army. It's like, man, this recall, the time on this is Blizzard soon. You know, it's sometime between now and the end of time.
Oh, it's so true. It would literally feel like the longest thing ever. Oh boy, let's hope MightyKiwi doesn't get any sudden ideas to do Bane Rain, then we might have a bad time for Probe, who has now got even more splash in that composition, Storm just about to wrap up, and those High Templars with their newfangled auto attack on the ground here.
Oh yeah, what an impactful auto attack it is. Does it do, what is it, 4, 6 damage?
Yeah,
something like that. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. I actually feel like it might hurt the High Templar more than it helps them. Because it kind of messes with the AI a little bit if you've got everything in the one control group. But here we go, the Storms will be in the front. He could actually go for some feedbacks if he can see the Infestors. But it doesn't look like he has the Observer right out there for detection just yet.
Yeah, he has one with his army, so if he can sneak that forward, he should be able to get it. I'm not sure MightyKiwi has any overseas on the front lines. There's no Spore Crawler in the 4th either, so he might actually lose a couple of Infestors if he's not careful. He's actually trying to secure a 5th base up the other side of the map with this. Oh, beautiful.
What a tag. Using that Oracle. And here comes the army from Probe, and behind this he's also going up to the fleet beacon, so he can choose to go to carriers or Tempests if he wants to later on. And that 4th base is going down. Thankfully, MightyKiwi has got another one up in the top left, and here we go. Some big storms are going to be going down. These Hydralisks will get absolutely chomped. And one fungal comes up, but it's not really doing anything, Zap, but some big neural parasites from MightyKiwi, so those Colossi are actually going to be hurting Probe's army quite a bit. He is still up about 50 supply, and the Infestors go down.
I cannot believe the carnage that just happened at the bottom of that ramp. Love the use of the neural, but it's too much. GG. Probe puts a point on the board for Legacy.
Alright, so I think we're going to go to an ace match tonight.
Oh, you calling it right now? Probe wins 1 game, ace match confirmed?
Yeah, I reckon, and we'll see Probe come out again. But, I mean, I just really want more StarCraft because I'm selfish like that.
Of course we do. Alright guys, great first game there. Make sure you tell your friends that this is going down because the competition is going to be awesome. There's many more weeks of this to come as well, so make sure you know, tell everyone you know that this is happening here on the Blizzard ANZ stream. Thanks for bearing with us with our production difficulties. We will continue to get anything that you mentioned in the chat sorted out. But for now, we do need to grab that next lobby, get set up for the next game. So we'll take a quick 3-minute break. Don't go anywhere.